listeners to the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, as always, and today we have a truly empowering conversation lined up for you. Now, if you have ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or disconnected from your own power, this episode is for you. And our guest today is Vesta Hurlbutt, an empowerment strategist, cardiovascular technologist, and Hopopono practitioner and health coach. Well, she's also a single mother who has walked the path of resilience, self love, and personal transformation. Vesta specializes in helping strong women and men reclaim their self worth, self esteem, and the ability to forgive themselves and others as well. And today we'll be exploring the art of mindful living, finding that emotional and physical freedom that we deserve, and also the power of choosing you. So let's quickly dive into this beautiful conversation. So, Vesta, welcome to the show. And it is such an honor having you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege for me to be here. And as I'm listening to the opening and you introducing me, I actually kind of welled up with tears when you talk about freedom and the power of choosing you, because right now I'm going through something where it's showing me how far I've come in that realm of my own mindful living, my own finding my own empowerment. So I feel like this is a great day to be recording this podcast.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's such a beautiful beginning to this conversation. So, Vesta, mindful living is a term we hear a lot these days, mindfulness, but it can mean different things to different people. So, in your own life and work, how do you define mindful living?
It's funny when I started really learning about myself and doing some, soul searching, as you will. I thought mindful living was something completely different than what I feel like it actually has become in my life. I have a tattoo on my arm that says "Be here now," and I watched this little snippet of video that made me want that tattoo, and it's just a gentle reminder of living in the moment. And as far as mindful living for me goes right now, I think the importance of being mindful in all the things you do. How many times have you driven to work or walked to work or just everyday processes that you don't even remember doing? I have been to work where I punch in and I don't even remember. I'll be like, "Did I punch in?" And it's because I'm so far off
Yeah.
my brain, you know? So I'm like, "Okay, my mindful living is just trying to be here now, remembering all the amazing things that are happening in my life right now." We're all on this journey and everybody's on a search for more or a search for what's my purpose or a search. There's like 1,000 million things that we can search for. But if you're not living in the moment and really enjoying where you're at right now, you're going to miss all the amazing things. So my idea of mindful living is just being here, paying attention.
That's really beautiful. And I can totally connect, with sometimes I also forget that what exactly did I eat in my lunch today? What exactly did I eat yesterday? I mean, that is so common, especially nowadays, because I think most of us we either dwell in our past or we feel that anxiety about the future. So I think that itself, makes the importance of mindfulness more and more justified. So also, would you say that mindfulness as a single parent, if I take a phase from your personal life, would you say that mindfulness has also helped you navigate the stress of being a single parent?
Absolutely. I think mindfulness also is about really like paying attention to what you I don't wanna say control, but what is yours to control? I will say it like that because a lot of parents, single or not single, we think we wanna control our kids, and of course, when they're little, we wanna control them in the sense that, "Don't touch that hot stove because you'll burn yourself." We're doing it out of, yeah, necessity for their safety, but the older they get, you have to release some control, and that's really, really hard. So when I even still, my son's 21, so he's older, but, even still, I have to take a step back sometimes and be mindful and be in the moment and realize this is his life and his journey. He'll ask me for help when he wants it. He'll ask me for advice if he needs it. I have to be able to be mindful of what he needs, or just mindful of the fact that this is his journey, not mine. I can't make him do anything he doesn't wanna do. I mean, of course, there are things I could try to control, but I wanna have an amazing relationship with my son. And for me to be mindful of myself, especially, that allows me to release the control of trying to make him somebody he's not or something, you know? I don't wanna put any strains in our relationship, that unnecessary strains.
Right, right. Couldn't agree more. And Vesta, before we further dive deep into mindful living and also the power of choosing you, you, uh, would you like to tell a bit about your journey? I mean, in the intro, I barely scratched the surface, but if you can share about your journey, how exactly, what motivated you to explore more about mindfulness and adopt daily practices into your life?
I mean, ideally, I started this process a long time ago. One of the main things that happened to me, it's so small and minute. I was living my life. I wanted more, so I went to college. I became a mom, and then I went to college and I became an X-ray tech, and so that's the cardiovascular tech that I do as my day job, I'll say. But I lived in Pennsylvania. I moved to Baltimore. I moved to Charleston, West Virginia. I had lived in North Carolina. My son lived in 4 states before he was 8. And I remember saying to this physician one time, I said, "Maybe I just wanna move," and I said somewhere, I don't even remember where, and he said, "You know, you have to take you with you." And he meant that kindly, but I was like, and in my head, so then I was like, "Oh, that's so true." Like, maybe that's the problem. Maybe deep down something, I don't wanna say it, but the way I thought of it then was maybe deep down something is wrong with me. I'm always searching for more. I always wanna leave. I always think basically the grass is greener somewhere else. So I started this internal search of how can I improve my life? I don't wanna say be better because I was already good. I just want, how can I improve my life? And the first step to that is, and when you're reading and researching and looking into everything, they say meditation. And
Yeah.
meditation is I mean, mindful living is meditation, right? That was so hard for me. I was stuck in my head all the time. And I was one of those people, meditation can't work for me. I'm just in my head. And so but of course, like I do challenges, 30-day meditation challenges. And then I start to realize meditation doesn't have to be sitting Indian style on a mat, fingers connected. It doesn't have to be like that. Like, ideally, in a perfect world, if you're living in the moment, that's almost meditation enough. That's mindful. I remember, scrubbing my hands at a sink. I have to scrub my hands for 5 minutes, and so I would just, that was one of the things. My brain is going. My brain is going. I'm thinking about life, what has been, what will be. So then I just started to really be mindful in the moment when I scrub my hands, and I'll be like, "Okay, let me clean underneath my fingernails. I have to clean up my arm," and then I can feel the water dripping down my elbow, and then I feel my feet flat on the ground, and I made scrubbing my hands into a meditative state, if you will. But it's just a mindful thing. I'm here. I'm here right now. This is what is happening to me. And the more I'm by any means, I am a work in progress as far as everything goes. But the more mindful I am about this beautiful life I'm living, the happier I am, the freer I feel. And, I think it's just all about being mindful. The kinder I am, the more loving I am, and the more love I see. Because we're in a world where you can see so much hate, but if you open your heart with love and kindness, that's kind of what I get in. I get love and kindness in. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Neither am I. So it works out perfectly.
And I really love that you use such simple, uh, I think we all go through these moments, and you use such simple examples to demonstrate the power, the effects of being mindful. So that's really a very profound and really quite a journey, Vesta. And of course, thank you for sharing that with all of us. And now in your work, you work with people who have forgotten their power and want it back. So, what are some of the biggest barriers you see when it comes to reclaiming self worth and emotional freedom? I mean, does mindfulness have some kind of a role to play in uplifting them?
Oh, 100%. Mindfulness, that's step one. Mindful, in all the journeys of people, everybody's mindfulness is different in a sense, but that's step 1, is finding an appreciation, being mindful in this life. That's when you, because we get so lost in the hustle and bustle of the life that we're living. Everything's like, I'm timed. What time do I have to be to work? So I'm going to get up at this time. It's not, there's no, and we're not putting joy in our life. And so with that hustle and bustle, people feel stuck. People tend to want to find a way out. People will talk about wanting to quit their job, and maybe it's not the job. Maybe it's just you're not seeing the good things. And I say that loosely because maybe it is the job. I'm not, I don't know everyone's life. But the first thing I think that we as humans, when we start to feel, even now, when I get myself in a rut, I don't know if a rut is the right word, out of alignment maybe is a better term. The first thing I do is I go back to my basics of being mindful. I write down what I'm looking for in this life. Maybe it's a manifestation journal. Maybe it's what I'm looking forward to. It's always about appreciating what I have right now. It's being mindful of the amazing things I have right now because I have so much, and it's easy to be like concentrating on the things I don't have, but I have so much, so why not concentrate on the good rather than the bad? And that alone is just being mindful of what I have and how amazing my life is, and also being mindful of where I came from, the journey that I'm on, and I think being mindful is always step 1.
Mm. No, that's so powerful. And of course, I can personally relate to this. It's and how easy it is to get caught up in responsibilities and forget our own needs. So we in my conversations on the mindful living, I've talked to my guests about breath work, and then journaling. Writing is such a beautiful form of mindfulness, and then music, um, art, photography. I mean, there are so many tools and channels to explore mindfulness. So if you would like to share one small yet effective step which people can take today to start shifting their mindset, what would it be?
I have, what I call rampage partners. It's a rampage of appreciation. I do it via Marco Polo. I have 4 of them. You could start with 1, and I will tell you every morning, I wake up and I get on my Marco Polo, and it's not about what you look like. It's not about anything like that. All I do is get on my and with these people that I've met. Some of them I haven't even met in person. I just have, like, through different tribes. I go on and I just appreciate what I try to do 3 minutes per person, and I appreciate what I have in this life. It starts my morning off in a way of nothing but positivity, and if you're shy and you don't have a tribe, and this has happened to me a lot, reach out to me. If you don't have a tribe, I can help you. But also, if you are still, a little unsure about finding somebody who is in alignment with these details. Because at first it's a little bit weird. 'Cause you just pop on, and, like, if I was gonna do a rampage right now, I would just get on and I would say, "I appreciate that I live in this beautiful state that I'm in. I appreciate the weather is gorgeous. I appreciate my relationship with my son," and it goes deep, 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 3 minutes of this. But at the beginning, it's kind of I felt insecure doing it. I was lucky enough to have amazing partners, but if you feel too insecure to do it with a partner, just journal it and try to if sometimes if I have a negative thought about I'll just say a person, like a coworker. If I have a negative thought about a coworker a lot, what I'd like to do is rampage a whole entire 3 minutes about the things I appreciate about that person. That way, it changes your trajectory from negative to a positive trajectory, and you start to see that person in a different light, and I'm not saying they're not gonna get on your nerves or whatever's happening. I'm just saying you start to see the good rather than going straight to the negative, and if you can write that down, I mean, however you can appreciate your life, that's starting to change. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes when you're having a bad day, all you might be able to appreciate is coffee, and that's okay too. So you start with a fresh cup of amazing coffee, and then you appreciate that coffee.
That is so beautiful. And when we start appreciating the small things, when we start expressing gratitude, um, even the water we are drinking, or the coffee we are drinking, or the fresh air we are breathing, I think it drastically changes the reactions of us to adverse conditions or negative situations. I mean, normally we get into that fight or flight mode when there's anything remotely negative, especially right now. But I think mindfulness, it drastically changes the reactions of us, how exactly we react to any person who is getting on our nerves, or maybe to any situation. So that's really, really such an effective first step to begin with.
Yes.
Okay, as now you mentioned that, instead of focusing on the negative aspects of let's say, a coworker who is getting on your nerves, start appreciating the positive things. So, with that, I think listeners would recall the word forgiveness. And it's such a key element in healing, whether it's forgiving yourself, your past, for your mistakes, or maybe forgiving others. But we yet struggle with it. So, what does forgiveness mean to you, Vesta, and how does it tie into physical and emotional well being?
Physically, it holds on to you. Some I for self I forgiveness for me, for other people has always been easy. If somebody does me wrong, and put that in quotation marks, however you hear that or see that, it's easier for me to forgive. I am so hard on myself, and I beat myself up. I will have a conversation with somebody, and it's a fine conversation, and in my head, I know they forgot about the conversation, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm still thinking about it because did I say this wrong? Did I say this? Did they take this wrong? Oh my goodness." Have if you ever have those moments? And so here I am 3 weeks later of a conversation that nobody else cares about. So here I am, I'm still holding on to that. Just imagine what that's doing inside my body for but mentally, it's like I'm beating myself up over the weirdest things. And the words that I'm saying to myself over this are so unkind. So the first that this is a work in progress. I am learning, and let me rephrase. I am succeeding at
Yep.
self-forgiveness all the time because that is so huge. And one thing I read that said, "Would you say the things that you say to yourself to anyone else?"
Mhm.
It's almost always no. I wanna be kind, like, I love kindness. I love love. That's what I put out. I try to put out as much as I can, love and kindness. Why? I have to say to myself daily, "Why do I not deserve that too?" And that self-forgiveness is so key that I have to take a breath and be very in the moment, be very mindful of the things I'm saying to me, because if not, I'm holding grudges against myself over things that happened 20 years ago sometimes. That's the craziest thing when I say that out loud. That's insane. But it happens to the best of us, and it I most of the time people don't it's I know any conversation I have with people, I generally forget, and I like the inflection or whatever somebody else says. I'm not paying that close attention. Why do I think anybody else is? And so I have to take a breath and say to myself all the time, you are worthy of that love and kindness.
That is so empowering, Mister. That is so empowering. And I think you are your biggest success story because, you are working in progress and you are succeeding. So that's once again so inspiring for all of us to know.
Thank you.
Okay. And also circling back to, when I asked you about how exactly mindfulness plays an important role in, especially when you are a single mom. So I think especially for caregivers, parents, or who are deeply committed to helping others. I think choosing themselves, it can sometimes really feel selfish. And it's like that guilt which comes from the inside that this is my purpose, this is my job, this is my work, this gives me that joy. Then why should I even choose myself? I should be always, every time be available. Uh, so, how do you help people move past that guilt and embrace self care as a necessity, not the self care that we usually see? Like, yeah, I mean, of course, sometimes going to a parlor, going to a spa, getting a massage, or getting a good sleep or something, that is a part of self care. But when we talk holistically about self care, how do you help people move past that guilt?
That's a really great question, because I think I was thinking the same thing when you were asking the question, because we in our heads, self-care is such a popular term right now, and that's what you see. You see people going to get a massage or having a whole day at the spa, and coming from me, I was like, single mom. I'm running kids here and there, doing all the things I have to do. There's no time for that. And then if there was time, do I really have money? And then am I gonna really wanna spend that money on myself when I could buy my kid his favorite kind of shoes or whatever the case may be? You understand what I'm saying? I think we we all want that kind of self-care, but that's not the reality of a busy, busy life as a parent. I used to say a single parent, but as a parent, we there's just so much. But my self-care turned into I need alone time. I'm very, very that's very important to me, and as a single mom, there's no alone time. I did for 3 years, I had no family around, and then later, it was difficult. It was my choices, and I absolutely love the relationship I have with my son, and that is because of what happened. But my my first self-care, my son is a sleeper, so it could be either way, but he would sleep in-ish, so I would wake up early. I still do it to this day, and he's not even near me, but I would wake up early and drink coffee and read books, and that was my version of, even if it was 5 minutes, if it was 20 minutes, if I was lucky, maybe I would get an hour, but that was my version of self-care. That was my alone time, because I wasn't gonna get hours by myself. I wasn't going to get time to go have a dinner by myself. I was going to get an hour or whatever in the morning. So I cherished that time. I cherished that time so much that I still do it. But that was my time to that was and I it and that doesn't sound selfish. When I say this, that doesn't sound selfish, because I made it work for all of us. When I talk about choosing you, it's not about, sorry, kids, today's mommy's day. It's not about that. It's just about choosing different little things that will make you happy. I firmly believe if you're not happy, your kid is going to feel that. So, and nobody's happy all the time, but choose joy for yourself. It could be as simple as today we're going to take the long way home because it's got a beautiful view on my way there. It could be waking up 5 minutes earlier than my son. I'm going to just drink my coffee. It could be snuggling your kids. Now this day, my son was I was just he was just here where I am for a week, and I took a picture of him. He was just chilling, laying on the air mattress, watching his YouTube, and I was reading a book, and I was just so happy to be in the same room with him. Things have changed. My choosing me is different than it was 20 years ago. So you just gotta find your baseline, and you don't have to think this isn't gonna be like a miracle of I need weekends by myself and stuff like that. You just gotta find your baseline and start small, and choosing you is so important. It also empowers you to be the best person you can be and the best mother you can be or father or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I always share this with my mother as well because I have seen my mother completely sacrificing her health for all of us, for the entire family. So I always keep on stressing that importance that find time for yourself, do whatever you love to do, just refresh yourself because it's so precious. It's really really priceless. Thank you for sharing that, Esther.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, so before we wrap up, I mean, unfortunately, there's a time constraint because I could keep going on and on talking to you about mindfulness. But if our listeners would like to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
I also have a podcast called the Open Heart Healing Podcast. You could also find me on Instagram. My name is Vesta Hurlbutt. I think I'm the only one in the whole wide world. My last name's Hurlbutt. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Just find me, and you can DM me, and I'll be around. I'm easy to get a hold of, and yeah, it's I can help you find the beauty in this world.
Definitely. Definitely. And we'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes. And Vesta, thank you. Thank you for such an incredible conversation. Loved your examples, loved the way you explained, loved the way you connected the approach, the concept with your daily life observations and moments. So I'm very sure, at least, me and as well as most of our listeners will take away some deep insights from today's discussion. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an amazing conversation.
So, listeners, if you are listening and something resonated with you, I encourage you to take even just one small step toward choosing yourself today. So, we'll have all the details to connect with Vesta and the show notes along with this episode. And thank you to everyone for tuning into the Mindful Living. And to all of you, I would just like to say mindful living isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep choosing you. Thank you.